Heather from healthyveganrecipes.net. So today we are going to make a pesto recipe that comes from Amie over at thehealthyapple.com. I've been checking out her recipes for a long time now, and I thought it was about time I shared one with you from her site. She has some awesome gluten-free recipes. Some include some dairy or eggs, but they're easily replaced, so you guys should totally check her site out. There's a recipe that she posted a couple days ago for black bean burritos with chipotle sauce, and it sounds super good, and I really want to try it. But today we're going to make her pesto, which also sounds fantastic. It's a sunflower seed pesto. She says that it is unlike any other pesto, and it's true, because it's sunflower seed based instead of pine nuts, and it doesn't even have any basil in it. It's with spinach, which is one of my favorites, and I'm going to actually mix part spinach and part chard because I don't have a full thing of spinach to do. Alright, so let's get started. We are going to start with, I started with the seeds, which I dry toasted in a pan. And the reason I did that is to bring the flavor out. You can buy roasted sunflower seeds, but they often are roasted with oil, and when they're done commercially, they usually use canola or some other really heavily processed oil. So I like to do them myself. I just buy the raw sunflower seeds and then toast them in a pan, just put them up to medium-high and keep them moving so that they don't burn. And there are sunflower seeds as well as sesame seeds in this recipe, which I will post over on my site, healthyveganrecipes.net, if you want the directions and the exact measurements. And I'll also post a link to the recipe over on Amy's site because she's got some awesome pictures to take you through the recipe. Okay, so I've got those seeds toasted, and then I did something a little bit different with the garlic and onions. I haven't tried this before. I was experimenting, and it worked out pretty well, so I'm going to show you that. Okay, so I started by dry toasting the seeds in a pan, and then what I did is transfer the seeds to the food processor and added the onion and garlic to the pan with just the oils from the nuts and seeds and sauteed them like that. And then I poured in some water right at the end just to steam them so that I didn't have to saute them in oil, but I was still concentrating the flavor of these guys. And they look pretty nicely caramelized, so I think that worked pretty well. You can tell me if I'm crazy or not. And then what you want to do is just wilt your spinach lightly. So I'm going to put the spinach in the pan with a little bit of water just so that it's just wilted. How many times can you use just in a sentence? So if you're wondering what just wilted looks like, this is it. You don't want them too wilted, and you could do them fresh, but one interesting thing about spinach, it is full of nutrients, chard as well. Like I said, I'm using half and half, but their nutrients can be bound up by oxalic acid, so if you cook them a little bit, it breaks down that oxalic acid and makes the nutrients more absorbable by your body. And that's the main thing, right? Because you can have a ton of nutrients in what you eat, but if your body's not using it, there's no point. You want to make sure that the nutrients are as absorbable as possible. So throw that into the food processor with your seeds, onion, and garlic that you got there, and then we'll season it. Alright, the key to making a really awesome vegan pesto with no cheese is to use some nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is this yellow flaky stuff. It is not the same as the kind of yeast that you bake with that makes bread rise. I get lots of people asking me about this ingredient. It tastes a little bit cheesy. It doesn't taste like cheese. So for those of you who are super duper cheese fanatics, it's not going to exactly replace cheese, but it has a cheesy flavor. Put it in this pesto and it will taste delicious. You won't need any cheese. And then I'm also adding some salt in here. some sea salt, and I'm actually using Herbamere, my favorite seasoning that is sea salt marinated with dried herbs, dried vegetables, and some kelp so that it all comes together into a really delicious seasoning that reduces the amount of salt that you're using while increasing the nutrients because of the herbs and the veggies and the kelp in there. Let me see, that is all of the ingredients. I'm going to put this in the food processor and give it a pulse. So you want to puree it until it's fairly nice and smooth, and then you can give it a taste to make sure you don't need any more seasoning. That is so good. And I didn't use any olive oil, although it is in the ingredients for you to saute the onions and garlic with, and it also gives a bit more fat to the recipe. I've been cooking without oil for a while, so I just decided to try it without and see how it is, and it is so delicious. If you do want to use olive oil, just saute your onions and garlic with that instead of my crazy method that I showed you earlier. And that'll just concentrate the flavor of the onions and the garlic a little bit more than what I did. But, like I said, super delicious even without. Some ideas that Amie suggests for serving this pesto is to spread it onto some crackers or some toast, or serve it with fresh raw vegetables, which is something that Phil's sister and I like to do. She slices zucchini really thin and then puts some pesto and a half of a cherry tomato on top. It's so delicious. Some other thoughts that Amie had were to put it on top of just a dish of some grains or some beans or tofu or whatever. Up to you. Make some really nice meals. Add some delicious flavor. Another thing that Phil's mom loves to do is make a pizza with some pesto as the base, and then some zucchini, some mushrooms, some spinach, whatever kind of vegetables you have to throw on top. Really, really delicious pizza, and you can just use a whole wheat pita as a pizza crust. So I hope you guys give Amie's pesto a try. It is really, really delicious, I promise. You can find more of her recipes over at thehealthyapple.com, and you can of course find the recipe and directions for this one at healthyveganrecipes.net. And that's it for me for now. I'm gonna go eat some pesto. See you guys later.